Drago občinstvo, tu smo se zbrali zato, da prisluhnemo besedam žive legende svetovne avantgarde, mojstra Helmuta Lachenmanna, katerega skladbo, velikansko mojstrovino My Melodies bomo slišali naslednjo sredo v enem od abonmajev naše Slovenske filharmonije. Ob tej skladbi bomo slišali tudi čudovito, lahko rečem, miniaturo, krajšo skladbo Vita Žuraja, Apidanca Makabra, ki govori o nevarnosti izumrtja življenja, kot ga poznamo. Obstaja anekdota, da je Einstein rekel, ampak ni on rekel, ampak vseeno je dobro slišati, je Einstein povedal, da če bi čebele izumrle, da bi potem tudi človeštvo izumrlo nekako 4 leta za njimi. Tako da Vito se je posvetil v svojem naročilu, mislim, da je bilo to za Kölnski radio, in je to res čudovit uvod v koncert in vas lepo vabimo, da mu prisluhnete v sredo. Potem bo na programu še skladba Karole Baukhold v Očeh zvoka, tudi zanimiva avantgardna skladba skladateljice, ki je, mislim, da študirala z Mauricijom Kaglom. In Helmuta smo danes povabili na Zoom, zato ker se zaradi covidnih razmer ne more tvegati tako veliko potovanj in se nekako udejstvovati toliko družabnih srečanj, in ga bomo z njim spregovorili na kratko preko Zooma. Z mano je pa tudi maestro Matthias Hermann, dirigent. Welcome, Matthias.
Welcome.
Matthias je tudi teoretik, njegova doktorska disertacija govori o glasbi med leti 1975 in 2003. Pisal je o glasbi Piera Bouleza, Mortona Feldmana, Manuela Hidalga, Georgija Kurtaka, Helmuta Lachenmanna in Luigija Nona. Torej zelo pomembna disertacija. There is something new I need to study from today on. Thank you for coming, Helmut and Matthias, and to step in for the firstly planned Ilan Volkov. Tako, ker ste v občinstvu poznavalci sodobne glasbe ali glasbe Helmuta Lachenmanna, ne bi izgubljal preveč časa, ker je čas dragocen, ker imamo njega na Zoomu. Vsekakor pa lahko povem, da je mojster študiran glasbenik, študiran pianist, študiral je kompozicijo pri Nepomuku Davidu, ampak ne samo to, kasneje se je pridružil pouku kompozicije pri Karl Heinzu Stockhausenu in še predtem pa je 2 leti preživel v Benetkah, kjer je študiral z Luigijem Nonojem. Inteligenten, strog učitelj, zelo pomemben skladatelj, in prele sva se pogovarjala s Helmutom in sta oba, tako Luigi Nono kot Karl Heinz Stockhausen, pustila močne sledi tako v njegovi mladostnih kompozicijskih iskanjih, kot tudi kasneje v celotni svetovni avantgardi. Torej, sedaj smo se predstavljali trije, kmalu mu bom dal besedo našemu prijatelju Helmutu, sedaj pa še povabimo na oder madame Sugawara Lachenmann, Yukiko, pianistka, ki nam bo zaigrala kratko skladbo po našem uvodu in po pozdravu gospodu Helmannu. Also, madame Yukiko will come on stage now. Bitte. En applaus da, Yukiko. So, Helmut, say hi to the audience. There is a packed house. They want to hear from you.
Yes, thank you for having me in America. So, yes, I'm happy and not happy. I would like to be with you now. It is too dangerous for an old man. I had a lot of people saying you should not be so not cautious. You must be cautious. So now I'm here. At least it is better than nothing, I would say. And I cannot see the audience, but it's a pity. I would see them. It would be better. Anyway, now we shall be together, and I'm looking forward, and I'm incredibly thankful to a lot of people to Matej Schartz, who was really patient and incredible, open-minded. And I'm very happy to have my wife here, Yukiko. Also, not for the piece, but she shall play, but also for her working in the orchestra piece, which is not so easy. And but he has a very good partner. I heard the C, which is the name. And then there is I'm sorry, it's always a very nice, close friend with this Matthias Hermann. We know each other since half a cycle, I think, half a century. Yes, and I owe him so many things. I cannot now enumerate all the things, but my life would be not so rich without him.
He was your student, right? He was your student.
Yes,
student? Yeah.
He learned to write books and such strange things. And now I hope he shall forget it, all that things. But I discovered him, and he's the best performer of my pieces. And it's a pity. But he is sacrificing his life also for other things, for instance, for the students now in Stuttgart. And so this is, but we should not now go deeper. It's very great.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you, Helmut, for now. I read, or maybe I saw it in the movie about your music, that you don't treat yourself as a composer, but you are an inspector of rehearsals. That you always have to attend the rehearsals, and no matter how much you notate the music, you always need to explain what is going on. Is there something that you need to explain about the piece from the beginning of your career, 1963? Can you say something about the vegan music?
But you must stop me. I can always say too much things, maybe. Anyway, this was written after having been together with Luigi Nono in Venice. And this was a wonderful, but a very hard time. He was terrible in some sense. And he was, you know already, he tried me to only write punctual music, not know any melody element. And so what if the teacher shall try to forbid something, you must do it.
You must do it.
Otherwise, you become a satellite of him. And so I found a very good means to do what I was not allowed to do. This was a so-called arpeggio. Arpeggio is a thing which only the piece comes one after the other and comes together. And so the vegan music was written because there was from another friend, the little girl was born, and I was grandfather. How it's called? Padrino. And I wrote the piece. It is a short piece, and it is let's say it's a festival of arpeggios. Arpeggio can be very slow, could be very, very quick. Arpeggio with a distance of 0 is just an accord, or it's very, very, very bright. So this is and the rest is. So there are not any strange, how it's called, extended play techniques. Yeah. It also was my sport today to do what I would like to do, but not only with noises. So, yes. In the film I said I'm a left-wing noisemaker.
Left-wing noisemaker, yeah. Aber vegan music is a lullaby, right?
It's a kind of lullaby, but once I had to play together with Kind im Einschlummern from Schumann on the Kinderszenen. And Kinderszenen is Kind im Einschlummern is a piece, very wonderful piece. I have a piano behind me, but I shall not try. And then my piece is not a calm piece, it's like, or maybe like a berceuse. Something like this. Yeah. It means, let's say, a child before sleeping is very not quiet. It's very active, yes. And by it gets tired and falls asleep. maybe one could desire, but I would like better not to have such things in the fantasy. I would like to listen to what happens.
Ja, also wir hören zweimal, ja? We will hear it twice.
Yes, because
in a row.
you look, if you hear a Beethoven symphony, you are already familiar with the music, and then your antennas are already ready. In such a piece, you must find your antennas in the first piece. In the next, when repeating, then it's a déjà entendu, and then this is much better. So I would like to have it like this.
Also, torej bomo zdaj slišali to kratko skladbo iz leta 1963, uspavanka, Vigend muzik, dvakrat zaporedoma. Prvič, še nikoli prej mogoče, razen če je nekdo na skrivaj poslušal na YouTubu, in na to še enkrat, torej dvakrat po dobre 3 minute, 3.5 minutes or something, yes? Please, Madame Yukiko. Yeah, so Helmut, this is a piece so nice you have to hear it twice.
Yes.
Yeah. Now Yukiko will explain some more extended techniques. I will bring her the microphone.
Okay.
Extended techniques for other pieces. So, Madame, could you briefly talk about other possibilities of performing on piano? A little bit.
From the melodies.
Yes, from my melodies, yeah.
Only the effect for the not usually play the piano. For example, a few more times coming the such a sound. That is a plastic. It's not dangerous.
With the pedal, yes.
And another one is what is it?
The plectrum.
Plectrum, yes. No, I found it at the
the harder one.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes. Such a sound, for example, across here. Or
It's a scratching sound.
This is older the string, but it's coming the different higher, like the melody. Such a thing.
Yeah, slightly different.
Yeah. Or that is for children.
It will be a Guiro effect, right?
Kiddicraft. Kiddicraft. The name is Kiddicraft.
Excellent. And then perhaps some flageoletti and harmonics as well?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I forgot. Yes. Is overtone?
Yeah, overtone.
Or here, for example. Oh, I'm sorry. Also higher place, for example, here, neutral.
Muted string. Wonderful. Yeah, harmonics and muted strings, yes. Yeah. Ah, so wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Tako, drago občinstvo, pomikamo se naprej. Zdaj smo slišali mečken zgodne skladbe. We heard some older music by Helmut. The vegan music is from the year 1963. And we heard some extended techniques later on in Helmut's music. Also in my melodies we will be hearing some of this, as well as many, many extended techniques in other instruments. And so now I wonder, before Matthias showed us some techniques for the new piece that is coming up on Wednesday, we would like to see the excerpt from the movie about the composition, but in the beginning of the piece there will also be a small excerpt from one of the first compositions that are known through Helmut's new techniques. It is called Air. Dear Helmut, can you say a few words about Air, and then we will watch the film with Sir Rattle.
Air written in 69, 68, but it was performed first time in 69. It's a sort of concert for percussion and orchestra. Because really in that time I tried to make the sound not interval, well, intervalling as well, but what was important was the energy. So the energy which is given or by the performer or from its sound itself. So if you hear, for instance, a Beethoven symphony or let's say a piano concerto in C minor, dom, bom, 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 this is written by strings, but later it's by pizzicato. And this is another sort of energy. And then in the end of the cadence of the Beethoven concerto, it's done by timpano.
By timpani, yeah.
Yes, and so this is so beautiful to listen. I think all those composers in the classics, they were very well, they knew this sort of energy. But they were more busy with the harmonies and the melodies and all the things of the... in the so-called, I don't like the word, new music.
Yeah.
Every music is new when we are open. Anyway, this was for me, I think this is, everybody could understand. If I hear, let's see, a glass of wine, and I let it fall on a stone floor, and it is destroyed. But I hear something, and I don't say this is a F sharp, or I don't say it is a melody. I think, oh, what happened?
Yeah.
And if I see, don't know, if a car crashed together, and it makes an incredible noise, and I get the interesting sound. But people, they know what happened. They feel the energy, and they have, and so on. This way of listening is not so intellectual. Mm-hmm. It is a corporal way of listening. Mm-hmm. And I think each music is done like that. So, for instance, maybe the music of Bach, you could also perform a Bach fugue for saxophones. So the energy is also there, but it's not so important as in a piece of Beethoven or in a piece of Gustav Mahler or Richard Strauss.
Yeah.
In a piece of Gustav Mahler, you can hear a big crescendo from a timpano, and then comes this is a dominante, and then comes a tonica. It's a harp. So the harp is a sort of sister of the timpano. Mm-hmm. It's a more soft sister of the timpano, and listening this way is I think a lot of music today we are not familiar with, and we say, oh, new music, and so. You should be open with your ears. You should not only listen like a text. Now, at the moment you are listening what I'm speaking, so you don't know, listen, maybe, I hope, listen to but if I speak like this, or very like this, then you begin to listen much more.
Yes.
You begin to listen really, also, I also could make a lot of ugly noises. No, I should not
Excellent.
do.
So
yes.
So now, Helmut, there is also the main part of the excerpt that we chose, I and you, and earlier when we were preparing. There is also one excerpt that horns play very, very loud. The horns have a small snippet of the movie, and in that movie we can hear a horn player from Slovenia. We can hear, people will recognize. His name is Andrej Just.
Yes, it is a second hornist.
Yes. He will be playing also, so we are so happy. So yes. Are you okay now if we play the film?
Why not?
Okay. Yes. Dragi moji, zdaj pa...
Only because you asked me about the piece, air.
Yeah.
The word air means Luft in German.
Yeah, Luft, yeah.
So, again, Stockhausen's piece were called Zeitmaße. He spoke about the structure. And I was speaking about this different, another piece is called Atem. Mm-hmm. And so on.
Yeah.
So that means I speak about this corporal aspect of sounds.
Yes.
So, faster now.
Yeah. Danke. go again. Helmut, could you see some of it?
I can see you, yes.
Yeah. Will you be able to see the movie now? I'm not sure. Could you see the movie?
I didn't see the movie, but I heard Simon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, wonderful. I'm really fascinated in such a long piece such as My Melodies that you have this fluctuation of the sound, that the sound gets very thin sometimes. I called it pause, but you said it's not pause, it's stille. It's ruhig, it's stille. It's something that you are awaiting something that will happen in the future. So perhaps Matthias can talk about this while holding his violin in his hand, or do you want to explain this expectation in your music? One never knows what will happen. You keep me alert when I listen to your music. How is this?
Well, maybe now it's Matthias' turn.
Okay.
If I will have to add something, I can try to do it later. But
Go ahead.
well, it's not so interesting at the moment, but without Matthias, this performance couldn't happen, you know.
Okay. Did you hear that? Without you, this could not have happened. So here's Matthias with some extended techniques on the violin now. I'm not sure whether you can see him on the camera, but definitely the audience will hear.
I go a little closer to the public.
Go ahead, closer to the audience. Yeah.
It's okay. Lachenmann in his music uses as a mute a piece of wood, a wooden mute, which is more muting than the usual plastic mute, you know. And we heard in this piece the breathing at the end of the piece. You can also have a kind of breathing on the violin. Air. It's the way you play. You don't play here because it's dangerous to slip away. There are other places used in the piece also, and now listen just what he said, and what we heard with the hammer, the difference of sounds. It's always the same body and the same, how do you call it, additional instrument. Or a melody of different pitches, for example. Those are so-called toneless techniques on strings, which refer to any air sound done on French horns, on trumpets, on flutes. We also have kind of rattling sounds. We heard on the piano done with the plectrum before, this kind of for example, on violins. Or even in high positions. Here a small glissando of. Can be also without glissando. By too much pressure of the bow, which are sounds referring to flattering tongue, French horns, or rattling sounds on the piano. And in this kind of air climate, sometimes you hear very far away pitches. maybe as a kind of melody in your memory, far away, collected with noises. We have this combination of sound and noise also in flutes, for example, where you can play a pitch but change a little the setting of the instrument in the mouth, and then you hear more air than the pitch. It's like a covered version of pitches of melodies. So melody is not only it can also be memory, distance, waking up the ears by those techniques and creating new relations between instruments. That from time to time, when you close the eyes, you don't know, is it the French horns? Is it the cello? Or is it the clarinet? Or is it some percussion instrument? Sounds merge and mix up with each other. What's now, he was talking about the reflexes before. That's the work with an orchestra, because usually you never play, either you have the bow in this, you just play this direction, yeah? You are not allowed when you have violin lessons to move the bow like this. But otherwise you cannot get the sound. The orchestra is very open-minded and very creative, and we had good rehearsals on Friday. We will continue on Monday and Tuesday to find this very special soundscape, which is not effects. It's just, it's much more. It's structures, and it helps to create this other way of listening, getting new contexts between instruments, melodies, counterpoints. And there's your music is full of melodies, but as I said before, a melody can also be ba, ba, ba. And maybe you hear it first violin D, second violin D, third violin, like. And it's nice to hear melodies in very different ways, very different qualities, to see how rich the phenomena of melody can be. So we have, in fact, 40 minutes of melodies.
Wonderful. To bo pa kar en aplavz, verjetno si zaslužil, Matijas. Ja, ja. Wonderful. Thank you, Matthias. Helmut, could you hear some of this? You were hearing all this?
Yes, it's right. One should clone him because he makes it perfect. It's not so easy, because if we have 48 string musicians and they are not familiar with this, because the pizzicato, flageolet, they have already in their body. And now they are really, this is not so easy. So the rehearsals, there must, I always said to students, you must learn to learn. Yeah. So in the rehearsal, it's not just to applicate what you already have studied, but now you must be a little more open and adventurous. And sometimes there are musicians say to me, "Oh, my poor instrument." Mm-hmm. And I always say, "Your instrument is so happy, finally to really be touched in such a way." So, yeah. And there was also a thing, because you mentioned the difference between pause and stille.
Yeah.
When pause is, the musicians put down the instrument, maybe they are scratching a little bit and they are or looking around and so on. A stille this is not a stille. And I remember when I had a concert with a very terrible piece, a clarinet piece, a canto in Florence, in Italy, which we are not familiar with that. And they played the Haydn symphony, and then my piece, and then the Mozart. And during the Haydn, they were all coughing. The whole time they were coughing. I think they were not habituated to hear such only abstract music. They want to have a singer or something.
Yeah.
So I thought, when they are all coughing my music, it's lost. And then comes the intendant and said, oh, you must say something to the audience. I never heard such a music. So I said, I don't know what to say. So I said, there's something which in the music of Haydn and the wonderful music of Mozart never shall happen. And this was never shall happen. This is silence. And after the word silence, I didn't go on speaking.
Yeah. Yes.
And it was totally silent. They were all looking at me, and I had a heart beating.
They were attentive, yeah.
How long can I do this? And it was totally, and nobody did not make a joke or coughing something. It was totally silent. And I said at the end, after, don't know, 20 seconds, or this is long, or 30 seconds,
yes.
Complimenti. Now you made a sound in this hall which you never shall hear again in the hall.
Yeah.
And they were all laughing, and they were totally silent in the piece. In the Mozart piece, they began again coughing. So this silence is a part of, it's loaded with intensity. And there's a piece of Berio which is called Still.
Yeah.
And for instance, in the Wozzeck, in the second build, there is a moment when the Andre says, "What happened?" Yeah, it is silent. And this is a totally intensive, maybe it is the loudest effect in the music you can do, is silence.
It's silence, yeah.
All the general pauses in the Mahler piece, they are always too short. The conductor have not the nerves to really to wait to make a silence there. And in the other side, you have in my piece very loud things, very brutal things. So for the tone technique, this is not so easy to record it. Because the limits are very, very far. Anyway, but last thing I would like to say, my melodies is already, as Simon Rattle said, I can do, there was a time in which I said, this wonderful time with so-called noises. I don't like the word noise. It is out of sounds. But once, if it has, the problem is not to hear new sounds. The problem is here to new context, a newer world. And if this is true, it should be also work with a C-dur major, C major sound.
C major, yeah.
Consonant. So in my melodies there is a lot of consonants as well. And 8 horns cannot only make. They would fall down at the end, totally exhausted. And the aerosol effect in the COVID time would be not so good for the audience. Anyway, but they also now have to make harmonies. And the harmony also is a part of this sort of listening. What I would, this is my last word, I would say, I recommend for an audience not to listen with your normal musical ears. I would recommend to observe what happens. If you observe, you shall not say, this is good or this is bad, but what is it? What is happening? In this way, you should, for me, is so important. And then a lot of you music people runs out of the hall and they're angry and so. No, let's look at happen like a doctor looking in the house of sick people, how they behavior. And he does not laugh and he does not but he learns a lot of things and he opens his own horizon.
I hear you.
This is the best way of also the music of Beethoven, you should listen like this. And also the music of Schumann. It's only not just it's a good piece or it's a bad piece. I hate this to say. But what
it becomes an object, right? An object that you observe. Yeah.
What? I didn't understand.
An object. Ein Objekt.
Yeah, well, no. Well, I also make this with people, with friends.
Yes.
I will just observe. Not immediately say, he's a nice old. Let's see what happens.
Yes.
And this way is much richer the whole life, I think.
In one of the YouTube videos, you said that you don't believe in religion or science, that you believe in art. So art can give us the spirit. So today you are the spirit of music. And on Wednesday, we will be thinking of you, Helmut. We will have you in our hearts.
No, but look, my teacher Nono was totally atheist. He was a communist.
Yes.
And he asked me to study all the religions, because religion I have big respect. And I also, my father was a Protestant priest.
Yeah.
Pastor. And religion is so important, because we all know that our life is not ending, is ending somewhere. So we must do the best. But this is sometimes order now took in the hand of people which touch with power. And so all the churches, all the religions have also a sort of terror for the people. They have fear, and they want to be in heaven instead of hell, a lot, all the things. So I think, and the art is, for me, even the philosophy. The philosophy well, I'm studying all the philosophy from Plato until Heidegger. But it's a sort of gymnastic of the intellect, and so the art is meant, and we really are remembering that we are creatures full with spirit. I don't know, the German word Geist is not so easily translatable in another language. Geist means intellect, who knows his limits, and this for me is. I only say the art. There is art also in other cultures, Japanese art, incredible music. But this music didn't change during hundreds of years, because it was so a magic element. And music as a magic element, it's clear. But today we can buy the magic in each radio, and even. When Mr. Putin makes it's magic for the people. And in my life, I still had the Nazi time, and we had to sing the German anthem and so on. And it was a sort of abused magic.
I hear
so
you.
Therefore, the magic must be controlled, and there must be what I call Geist, and this is a word. I don't know in Slovenian, but in French it's esprit, which is not the same. Esprit is a lot of virtuosity of intellect.
Yeah.
And spirito in Italian is too religious for me. So anyway, it has to do with thinking and with feeling in the same time.
Excellent. Great.
And this is art. What happened?
Yes, Helmut. Great. I thought that we would be bringing you some questions from the audience. Can you perhaps wait for another minute so I can ask the audience if there is something they want to share with you or ask you? 1 minute, 2 minutes?
Sure, okay. But I want to say, really, asking is much more difficult than speaking.
Yes, yes.
Each man who has asked, he has the courage to show where he's not so sure. So I have all big respect. And there are no stupid questions. They don't exist. Each question has a reason. So,
if there is anything from the audience, just bring it up and I will bring you the microphone. Yeah, there is one question. Hold on. Izvolite.
So, one of the most exciting aspects of your composition has always been to me the exploring of how sounds are made. So, and there is one sound that you use in my melodies, and especially in your second string quartet. It's a gradual crescendo, and then played by the strings, and then it's suddenly cut off. And I'm wondering, is that supposed to be like a pizzicato played backwards?
Backward sounds, yes.
Yes. But your question is why or whatever. The yaps. What? Well, when I was studying with Nono, once Nono said, I have to go to Rome. You can come in my apartment. I was living in the same house as Lynn. And you can aufnehmen, register, how do you call it? You can take all my tapes. And there was a tape in which Arnold Schoenberg was telling little stories to his children in German. He was spoken this Austrian dialect, and then I copied it all. And then I copied the other time. This was an old tape. I make two tracks. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I heard what? I was so naive. I had 22 years, and I said maybe now he's praying Hebrew prayer on his bed. But it was the same tape, but reverse. So a pizzicato when you make it's a sort of crescendo. And to imitate this on the strings is a special technique in which you have to stop. The left hand is finishing the sound by touching the strings, but it must, if you touch the strings, comes a higher pitch, so one must take away the bow in the right millisecond. I don't know I think Matthias shall show it, but this is a little element only. Okay, Matthias, you can show, yes.
Now Matthias will demonstrate.
I try.
Yeah. So were these stories for Nuria, for the daughter, for the granddaughter? Nuria was married to Luigi, right?
With me.
The stories on the tape that Schoenberg was telling, were these for the grandchild Nuria?
Well, I don't know. No, Nuria didn't see in this moment. In that time, Nuria was what?
Okay.
But Matthias, he made it wonderful. He's like André Rieu. He cannot do this. But anyway.
Okay, so this was one question from the audience. The time is up. Now we spend the whole hour, and we thank you for your time. Maybe Yukiko can come here so that we can wave you in the camera. Please come over here so that we can say bye to him, please.
Well, but the audience, you must tell them that I'm so happy for the patient with us.
Sure.
I would like to be with you. It's clear, you know.
So thank you, Helmut, and we'll be thinking of you on Wednesday. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hvala. Yes, go ahead. Yeah. Še en stavek od gospoda Hermana. Hvala lepa.
I just want to let you know that it's a big pleasure to have 8 soloists in one concerto for 8 French horns and orchestra. And you have so wonderful musicians here in Ljubljana. We had rehearsal yesterday. I'm already very happy, and I like the concert on Wednesday with those fantastic performers. One is I see here. I just can invite you because it will be a very, very magnificent performance you will hear on Wednesday. Thank you to the orchestra, and thank you to you.
Hvala lepa. Po koncertu, drago občinstvo, po koncertu vas lepo vabimo v dvorano Lili Novi, kjer vam bodo postregli z vini, izbranimi vini iz Movije. Tako mi je bilo rečeno, naj vam sporočim. Še enkrat iskrena hvala, ker ste prišli. Veselimo se lepemu dogodku tudi Vitu Žuraju, o katerem bi želel mogoče kakšno besedo več povedati, ampak naj čebelice same spregovorijo v sredo. Srečno in hvala lepa.